Today on Have You Played? Get ready to swing your hammer, your war hammer that is, with Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine. And get your blades sharpened as we dive headfirst into Katana Zero. Slice! Ready or not, it's game time! And now welcome two men who haven't seen the light of day in months, Andrew Taylor and Matt Hall.
Mystical Gamer greetings, gamers, and welcome to another episode of Have You Played? I'm Andrew.
And I'm Matt, and today we're going to be looking at two games. We've got Katana Zero and Warhammer Space Marine.
And without any further ado, here's my review of Warhammer 40k Space Marine.
40k, yes.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. But in the grim darkness of the short past, in 2011, there was Warhammer 40k Space Marine. Space Marine was developed by Relic Entertainment, known for their RTS games and Company of Heroes. Okay, before we go any further, the Warhammer 40k universe is extremely vast and fleshed out with immense detail, so despite being a fan for a few years now, there's a chance I'll get some of the details wrong. Please let me know of any corrections in the comments. Anyway, Space Marine is a badass journey through space, giving you a first-hand experience as a genetically modified 7-foot-tall super soldier, ripping apart all manner of enemies to mankind, be they Xenos, heretics, or demons. The story is one of annihilation, deception, and triumph in the wake of certain defeat. The combat is what I believe to be one of, if not the best blends of shooting and melee gameplay, which I think very accurately depicts just how the Space Marines actually get the job done. In the campaign mode, you take on the role of Captain Titus, a veteran of the Ultramarines chapter for over 150 years. Yeah, this dude is 175 years old. He also remarkably sounds like the old Unsolved Mysteries narrator guy. Do you guys hear it too?
Sedona's picked up local Imperial Guard communications.
Join me. Perhaps you may be able to help solve a mystery.
Titus and his battle brother Sergeant Sedonis are deployed to Graia, an Imperial Forge world that is being invaded by Orc forces. They can't make their landing as planned. The Orcs have control over the planetary defense systems, so Titus goes full Halo 2 and dives right onto an Orc ship. After making your kick-ass landing, you are immediately swarmed by green-skinned Gretchens and Slugga-boys. When enemies are far away, you can pick them off with your various Space Marine arsenal of ridiculous ranged weapons, but when they inevitably close the gap, you can demolish them with combos using your choice of immensely powerful melee weapons, of course including the chainsword. This makes the gameplay feel like a combination of Gears of War with its slower, heavier third-person camera and dodge rolls, and God of War with its engaging melee battles and how each weapon has different unique combos to master. There's also a Fury mode that builds up and you can engage it to get a full heal and enter an extra damage mode for a short amount of time. You can stun and then execute an enemy to restore some health, like in Doom 2016. And man, are these slowed down executions fun to watch and totally brutal. This allows for many, many ways to approach battles. My only question is, how does Titus reload the bolt pistol with just one hand? I have to say, for a game that came out on the 360, I do still think it looks pretty good. Playing in 1080 with everything cranked, it maintained a consistent frame rate and ran very smoothly. I noticed some really cool things like dynamic blood splatter on armor, but I thought the facial animations were just a tad stiff.
Stand fast, Ultramarines.
Despite that, I really think it still looks pretty good and feels very 40k. As you progress through Graia, dialogue between your squad and audio logs you can find with the hidden servo skulls really build out this world ravished by an Orc invasion, and if you listen carefully, paint the picture as to what is really going on. While fighting through the war zones and helping to stave off the Orcs, you gradually will find new weapons and upgrades. You will find drop pods with new weapons and purity seals that have different beneficial effects. Eventually you do get the jetpack, and my god, is it a blast to fly up into the air and slam into a group of enemies with your giant hammer. This is what Space Marine is all about. I also thought it was a really cool touch that the soldiers react to Ultramarines realistically. They salute you as you pass by, and some react as if they're meeting their favorite celebrity, which is realistic to the canon.
You have saved us.
Also, apparently some people pronounce the word lieutenant as lieutenant. Initially I thought it was just a Warhammer thing, but no, I guess that's just how some people pronounce it.
We would be, my lord, if not for the lieutenant. The stuff of chaos.
Shut the fuck up, Leandros!
I do have some minor complaints, like some parts seem to drag on a bit, some story parts can feel sudden, and some other extremely minor things, but I think all of those things would have been remedied in a sequel. The tragic thing about Space Marine is that I feel it set the stage for what could have been a really awesome franchise, but as far as we know, there is no sequel in the making. Even worse, it ends on a cliffhanger. I was surprised to find out that there's still an active multiplayer community, and the customizability of your multiplayer character is in-depth and really fun to play, reminiscent of creating your own armies in Warhammer 40k tabletop. I think Space Marine is a must-play if you're a 40k fan, and even if you're not, I really think you should give it a shot.
Space Marine.
Alright, Matt, so that was Warhammer 40k Space Marine. Have you played Warhammer 40k Space Marine?
No, I almost played it a few times and then I didn't.
Why didn't you play it those few times? Just because you didn't see my really cool review on it?
I hadn't yet seen your really cool review and I just didn't have the motivation to log into your Steam account and download it and try it.
Well, I'm sure you're regretting it now after seeing all the cool things you can do.
I guess the main thing I want to know is, did you play a lot of the tabletop Warhammer?
I've never played that. That is one of the only Warhammer things I haven't dipped my toes in until recently. I'm about to order my first set of Space Marines.
Oh, really?
If you can smell spray paint in my house right now, it's because I started building some terrain as well.
Wow.
Have you played the tabletop?
No, I used to frequent a hobby and comic shop that always had Warhammer nerds set up there in the center of it, and it was a little bit intimidating for me, honestly, as a child, because I didn't understand who these strange men were and what they were doing with these tiny, expensive toys.
Why'd they smell so weird?
Yeah, so I've always been curious about it, but I don't think I'd really care for it. Is this like a cover shooter?
No, you can't. Honestly, it's weird because it feels like Gears of War where you should be able to press A to slide up into cover.
Yeah.
But you can't do that, and there's no waist-high barricades and stuff that like Gears of War gets criticized. Cover, yeah. It's not. It really isn't. It's almost more like it leans kind of into Doom inspiration, where it's like, no, man, just you go and fight the guys. There's being super tall, you can't crouch. You just got to figure it out.
Actually, that does sound a little more interesting to me. I was picturing it more like a Gears of War, and I don't know, I missed that whole era of gaming.
Yeah.
So I didn't play Gears of War until a year ago.
Oof.
And I don't like third-person cover shooters from that mid-2000s era, really.
I think that's actually what killed it, is that it came out, I think, in the same year as Halo, or I think Gears of War 2 or 3. It doesn't matter, and whatever Halo game came out that year, which were tremendous releases. So if you're trying to get your shooting game put out in between these titans, I think that's part of why the game didn't see as much success as I think it should have.
Yeah, well, hey, not every game can see success, but some games do see success, and I'd like to talk about a mildly successful game right now.
Whoa.
I'd like to present to you my review of Katana Zero.
Whoa.
Katana Zero is an addictive pixel art action game. You take on the role of the dragon, jumping and slashing your way through a series of single-screen stages as an increasingly complex and dramatic storyline unfolds. The game takes place over a number of days, and each day, the dragon is given a new target to assassinate, along with certain objectives they are asked to meet. Each target is at the end of a level comprising several different screens, with each screen presenting its own unique challenges. The dragon is only able to take one hit, and on top of that, each screen has a timer ticking down. This compels you to complete each screen with maximum efficiency. The game has a very rich and distinct style, and while playing it did conjure up a number of possible influences like elevator action returns, Super Meat Boy, or even the time manipulation mechanics of a game like Super Hot, I have to believe that the developers took more than a few notes from 2012's Hotline Miami. Both games feature an assassin with an obscured past, receiving orders from a mysterious source. But the similarities don't stop there. In addition to the fast-paced, one-hit kill gameplay, both games utilize synthwave soundtracks, complemented by VHS tape overlays and trippy visual effects. Oh yeah, and both games were published by the unimpeachable Devolver Digital. Not everything they touch is gold, but I've yet to play a bad game from those folks. Despite these many similarities, Katana Zero stands entirely on its own as a great game. The story, which I'll do my best not to spoil, is very engaging, and the gameplay is tight and responsive. It's so satisfying to make a plan of attack and then successfully execute it. While the core of the game is sort of action platformer, Katana Zero also plays with time in some very interesting ways. You have the power to slow down time on command, which is represented by this little meter on the top left portion of the screen. The meter automatically refills whenever you're not using your slowdown power, allowing you to use it when you need it, but not abuse the technique. Time is also an important part of the segments that come in between missions. These non-combat scenarios feature conversations with branching dialogue paths that can be affected by how quickly or how slowly you respond to the other character. This unique dialogue system is a big part of the replayability factor in Katana Zero. I finished the game in a single session, and it took me around 3 hours. However, I have to believe that I didn't get the good ending, so to speak. By the time the credits rolled, I had more questions than when I started, and I definitely plan on diving back in to learn more and to see how different choices throughout the game will change my experience. At the time of this review, the game's been out for about 17 months on Windows, Mac, and Nintendo Switch. A quick search for the game presented plenty of critical praise, fan art, and even some very interesting mods. There's clearly a lot of support behind this title, and for good reason. I picked it up during the Steam Summer Sale, but I would have no regrets paying full price. If you're looking for fast-paced action or a unique, enigmatic story, go get Katana Zero. Hey, so that was my review of Katana Zero, and Andrew, I must ask, have you played Katana Zero?
I have not played Katana Zero. And,
why not?
I was too busy trying to play it in real life after watching some videos online. It looks really cool. It reminds me of specifically Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance. Did you ever play that game?
Wow, I did right around the time it launched, and I really enjoyed it. I was playing it on a borrowed handheld though, and didn't get to finish it.
Oh man, that's painful. I never could beat it as a kid, but I went back and I got it on the like the official Nintendo emulator virtual console. Really, really cool game. Have you played Beautiful Joe?
Oh, I played a lot of Beautiful Joe.
Hell yeah, that game, I love the timing mechanics. It's a platformer, you can slow stuff down, you can speed it up. But the gimmick is that you're in a movie, so you can speed up the reel or slow down the reel, and I thought that was really cool. This reminded me of that.
Yeah, I didn't make that connection at first. Again, that's another game.
It's even the same button.
I haven't played it since launch, but I played Beautiful Joe a lot when it came out. It was part of that series of Capcom, the Capcom 5. Great games.
Really good.
Yeah, I would say if you enjoyed that, some traits would carry over.
Yeah, for sure. But I noticed the interesting timer, as Nintendo Power would have put it. That seems like it's a really good way to maintain the momentum. Did you ever find that as a hindrance, or was it always like, I don't know, were you ever anxious when you're playing it, or are you just like, I gotta keep going? Does it maintain your momentum?
It maintained so much momentum that I played the whole game in one sitting.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And there's multiple endings, so there's different options that you can do.
There's gotta be multiple endings, because there was so much stuff where I was like, do I go here or here, this way or that way? You know, especially in the conversations, like the dialogue seemed like I never knew if I was making the right choice. The
dialogue, that's another thing that I was interested in. It seemed like there was like, you had a timer on that as well that you could select different choices. Did you feel like that really had weight, or was it just one of those, BS ones?
It felt like it had weight, but there was no way to know
really
until, and then as the game continued, I realized there was weight in some of those decisions.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Some of it didn't reveal itself until much later.
All right. Well, Matt, all of this katana talk has gotten me really excited, and I want to try out some of my sick new moves. You want to see them?
Sure, show me.
While you were vaping, I studied the blade. While you were out bagging low-key, slim-thick bubble-butt baddies, I honed my deadly skills. A fierce warrior with electrified Mountain Dew blood and Dorito-dusted will. I fear none and strike down all who would betray me, even if it's my own blade.
Wow. Gotta say, pretty amazing katana skills there.
You know, thanks, Matt. Your encouragement has really motivated me to sharpen up the blade and sharpen up my skills. But I'd like to ask you, what have you been playing recently?
Me? Well, as of late, I've been playing a lot, and I mean a lot. I think I had like a 9-hour session the other day.
Oh my god.
I've been playing a lot of God of War for the PS4.
God of War for the PS4?
Yes, I started it maybe 7 months ago, which is a trend for me. I'll start a game,
Come back.
put it down for a year or half a year, then come back and go, you know what? That first hour was so good, I'm ready to finish it.
I'm finally ready.
Yeah.
But Matt, have you played the original God of War series up to this point?
You know, I've dabbled in all those games a little bit. You know, like I said,
Don't you have to play those to understand the story of this one?
You know, you don't really have to. It's not really a reboot, but it is sort of, all right, here's decades later, he's living a different life. It's kind of very separated from the events of those old games. It's even set more in Norse mythology than Greek mythology.
Does that feel silly? How do you get from those two places?
By boat mostly is how you travel in the game.
That's how he did it? Okay. It looks really cool. It looks like a kick-butt game.
Yeah, I would sometimes be at someone's house where they had a Xbox 360. I don't even know what the fuck console those games came out on.
God of War?
Yeah.
They're just PlayStation.
Oh,
It was
it's
a
been a
Sony
PlayStation. All
exclusive.
right. So I've dabbled in those games. I never really liked them. It always kind of felt like a modern interpretation of side-scrolling beat-em-ups that I was just kind of inundated with as a kid. You know, there was every shitty game was a side-scrolling beat-em-up
Yeah.
or a shitty tournament fighter.
You know, I'm glad you say that because a couple years ago I did purchase. I never owned a Sony console until I was like 23. A couple years ago, I purchased a PS2 at a flea market. I got all the God of War games up until that point for the PlayStation, and with the intent of playing through them and starting to play this current God of War, which I think is just called God of War again.
It's just
right?
God of War again.
Which should be the fourth one. Anyway, but I played through the first one and I was like, it just didn't grip me. I thought it was good, and I think, but it was really probably also good for the time.
Yeah.
But it seemed difficult, and I kind of fell off. But if you're saying that you can just jump into this new one, I might try it out. It looks really cool.
Strongly recommend it. It feels like a great realization of a modern game.
Well, do you want to know what I've been playing recently?
I'd like to ask, Andrew, what have you been playing lately?
Well, Matt, right here at my gaming battle station, as I said at the end of the last episode, which you can check out, I have Warhammer Fever. In addition to getting the tabletop figures and beginning to paint them and everything, I've been playing tons of Warhammer games. Last time I mentioned that I was playing a Return of Reckoning, which was the Warhammer Fantasy MMO.
Yeah.
Most recently, I just purchased Warhammer 40k Space Hulk Deathwing, which is not the full title. It's only Space Hulk Deathwing, but if you don't know, it's a 40k Warhammer thing. I've only played it a little bit. It's similar to Vermintide. I've been playing that too. Vermintide, which is Warhammer Fantasy, which is just like a Warhammer version of Left 4 Dead. Space Hulk is a Warhammer 40k version of Left 4 Dead with a lot of differences. And I just started playing it a couple nights ago, but it seems really cool. It seems like you take control of a Terminator squad, which I hate to say it, but if you're like, what's a Terminator in 40k? It's pretty much a Terminator from the movies. They're super tank guys. everyone you can play as is in this big, huge armor. Imagine, if the armor that a regular Space Marine wears to a human, that's what a Terminator armor is to a Space Marine. You know what I mean? It's like you're in this even bigger power armor, and you kind of have to move a little bit more slower and clunkier. You have like a stamina bar for running and stuff, but you can use extremely heavy weapons like actual Gatling guns and stuff just on your person, and it's pretty dang cool, and I'm having a good time with it.
Wow, sounds like Warhammer Fever isn't as detrimental to your health as it sounds.
It's been really great.
Well, glad to know it's been great for you. What's been great for you, the viewer? Let us know in the comments what you've been playing lately, and if there's any games you want us to check out. If you want to ask us, have you played, whatever weird Japanese visual novel,
Elite Beat
porn
Agents.
kind of stuff you're into, hey, we'll give it a shot. And in the meantime, we'll be back to playing some games and saying goodbye to you now. So long, forever.
Goodbye. This is the last episode. It's already over. We can only make 2. Oh no.